Here's one for you. So, the last 50 plus episodes that I've uploaded to YouTube have been monologues, me talking to camera as I go about my day. But the podcast originally started with conversations that I would have with different people. And I'm keen to get back into doing that, but I'm not going to put myself under too much pressure in the short term. But one thing that I loved about getting people in, and what I strive to do, was get different types of people from what I refer to as different loops. So people who are in different loops than me. So I had an air traffic controller on, and I didn't know anything about airports or fucking air traffic control or anything of the sort. And that meant that he was in a loop, an air traffic control loop, that I wasn't in. And I love meeting people who are in loops that I'm not in, because it means that's where all the learning is. And I happen to be in a lot of different loops. I'm no expert in any one of them, but because I have a toe in a whole load of them, it means that I have an in with an awful lot of people, which is one thing that I really like about myself. But a loop that I've recently joined is a bouldering loop. Now, bouldering is rock climbing without ropes, basically. And because you don't use ropes, you don't go particularly high. And it's gas because I've looked at lads in awe, lads that are light years ahead of me in relationship to experience and technique and just how good they are at climbing fucking rocks. And they are doing the most extreme stuff that I'll probably never get to. Or at the very least, it'll take me years to get to their level, because they're at a really high level of climbing. Now, you'd be forgiven for thinking that these guys are up in the clouds hanging off a fucking rock face or something. These lads are barely 6 inches off the ground. And there's something that I love about that you can do something so incredibly extreme with, a 100% safety record. Because whether or not you can move from one position on the wall to another position on the wall, it doesn't make any real difference if you're 200 feet off the ground or 20 centimeters off the ground. Now, it makes a massive fucking difference, and the lads that I'm looking at doing these things 20 centimeters off the ground wouldn't dream of doing them 10 feet off the ground, never mind 200 feet off the ground. But they're still incredibly difficult things, and you have to learn with the, quote unquote safety rope still on. But anyway, I am now fluent in bouldering, rock climbing without ropes. And what that means is I can walk into a building in Dublin called the Gravity Climbing Centre. I can just stroll in any day of the week and go, well, how's things? My name's Fran McKeown. I'm just looking to pay as you go bouldering. It's €13, beep, there you go. I'll hand in my car keys and go, I'll get a locker key off you, because they have you give your car keys, they give you a locker key situation going on. I'll go off then. I know what to bring. I own my own rock climbing shoes. I have a chalk bag. I bring a bottle of water. I know where to go to get changed. I can sit down, get changed at my leisure. I'll do my own little warm up, and then I'll hit the walls. And I can walk around every square inch in that place and do all the climbs that are at my level to do. And I know all the etiquette around getting somebody out of your way and not being in other people's way. And that can be a big deterrent, I think. It certainly is for me. I can only imagine it is for other people. One of the hardest parts of trying something new is that you don't know the etiquette around where you stand or where you look or what you do or what you say, and that can be really fucking cringy. So that's why it's always a great help to start something new with somebody who's already experienced. So I was blessed. I have my older brother, Pat McKeown. He comes with me, and past guest and friend of the show, Des Seepersod. Both those guys are relatively experienced climbers, and I got to go with them. I've gone with them every time, I think, but at this stage I'm well capable of going by my own. But the point being, that little guiding hand, that little, oh, don't do that, Frano, because you look like a dickhead, is a lot easier than doing something, looking like a dickhead, and having to live with the fucking shame of having fucking, got in somebody's way or fell on someone or fucked up in some manner. And when you have somebody with you, it's not foolproof. You're still going to fuck up, and you still have to be willing to make fuck ups and put yourself out there. There's no learning without discomfort, really, especially when you try something new. But having somebody there who can just, guide you past the big gaping holes in the ground so you don't fall in, metaphorically speaking, is a massive plus. But what's rattling around the head this morning is the different loops that I'm in, and the bouldering one is a very new one. I've only gone 7 or 8 times, so I'm in that one. I'm in an airsoft loop, so I go airsofting. I haven't gone in a long time now, more's the pity, but I have all the gear. I can rock up to any... Oh, and that was the other thing about the bouldering. I'm only familiar with one climbing gym. I've only stepped foot in one of them. But because I'm in the bouldering loop, I can walk into any bouldering gym in the fucking world, on the planet, and basically walk the walk and talk the talk. Because I'm no expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I know the fundamentals inside out and backwards. I know the gist. And I can walk in and go, hi, I'm looking to pay as you go. Where do I get changed? Have you got lockers? Little things like that go a long way. But I'm in the loop. Now, I mightn't be at the very centre of the loop, but I'm certainly in the loop. And the same goes for airsoft. I'm not in the dead centre of that loop, but I have all the gear. I can walk onto any airsoft range, for want of a better term, in the world and, play a day's airsoft. Or I can walk into an airsoft shop and I can walk up to the assistant and I go, well, how's things? How can I help you? Yeah, I'm looking for a new sidearm. Okay, what are you using? I'm using a Colt 1911. Okay, what do you like, not like about it? Love everything about it, with the exception of the magazine. It jams and it's this and it's that. And I can have a conversation. I'm fluent in airsoft in a way that I'm fluent in bouldering. And again, I can walk onto any airsoft place in the world, any shop in the world, or talk to anybody in the world who is into airsofting and have a conversation with it about them, even from a relatively beginner's standpoint, because I'm not doing it a very long time, no more than bouldering. I've only gone 10 fucking times over the last year or two. MMA then is another loop that I'm firmly in. I was an amateur fighter back in the day, and the real beauty of MMA is it means that not only can I walk into any MMA gym in the world, I can walk into a jiu-jitsu gym, a Muay Thai gym, karate gym, fucking taekwondo, wrestling, you fucking name it. I can walk into any martial arts dojo and walk the walk and talk the talk, because I can introduce myself. How's things? I'm Fran McKeown. I have a background in mixed martial arts and I'd like to, do a bit of sparring or do a bit of training, or can you show me around? I know the etiquette about, shoes on the mats and not leaving your bottle of water anywhere, and the respect that you have to give to people, and how to apply enough pressure but not too much pressure in striking and in grappling. I get all that. I'm firmly in that loop. I'm in the fishing loop, and I'm in the archery loop, I'm in the winemaking loop, I'm in the vertical farming loop. I'm in dozens of different loops. I must actually make a list of them. But the real beauty in being in so many loops is it gives you an element of competency. There's a general level of competency that comes with being in multiple loops. Because what it means is, when you're relatively competent in, let's say, 5 or 10 loops, you can walk into a loop that you fucking don't know anything about, and you can walk in and confidently introduce yourself and say, hi, I'm Fran McKeown. I haven't a clue what's going on around me here, but it looks really cool. Can you help? And the reason that I can do that is because I have built up a platform of competency. Again, Joe Rogan says it. He talks about building a mountain out of layers of paint. And I'm going to tweak that analogy slightly and say you build your platform with layers of paint. So the more layers of paint you put down bit by bit, you literally elevate your position in society. There's something I really like about that analogy. The more you do, the better viewpoint you have. And not that you can fucking look down on people, but it just gives you a better overarching view of the landscape. And when I say the landscape, I don't mean, the fucking horizon. I mean the landscape of a new place, whether it's a new pub or a new club or a new gym or a new sport or anything. And not all loops were created equal. I think some are better than others. And I've only gotten into bouldering relatively recently, and I'm enjoying it. It's a physical challenge and a mental challenge and a nerve challenge as well, because I was talking a lot there at the start about only being, 2 centimeters off the ground. but you're often 20 feet off the ground. Now granted, if and when you fall, you're falling onto a big matted area. I don't care how fucking soft that matted area is, if you put your fucking arm behind yourself to stop your fall, you fucking twist out your shoulder or your elbow, you could very easily injure yourself doing bouldering or any kind of climbing. Now that's not a reason not to do it, it's a reason to do it. If something is 100% perfectly safe, that to me is almost a negative. But I suppose that I'm enjoying the climbing. It's, as I said, it's physical, it's mental, it challenges your nerves, because when you're up there, even when you're fucking 4 feet off the ground and you're reaching, you can just get a fingertip onto something and all your weight is on one foot and you have to fucking transfer it all onto another hold. You don't want to fall, like, regardless of whether you're 20 feet off the ground or 2 feet off the ground. You really don't want to fall, and it's nerve-wracking, but in a good way. You're challenging yourself. So I love it for a whole host of different reasons. There's a great social component to it as well, because like with weight training, in between sets or in between climbs, you're kind of chatting to the guy beside you, which is great. But what I don't like about it is my time is very limited. Now, I do rock climbing once a week. Of a Wednesday evening, we go for a couple of hours, and that's great. But we drive to Dublin, so it's an hour and a half in both directions. So it's 3 hours of travel for probably 3 hours of training, which is fine. But what it's made me think of lately is, could my time be better spent? Because I really do enjoy it, but I don't fucking love it. And what will go a long way is if climbing was in our day-to-day lives. So if there was climbing walls at weddings, because we all go to weddings a couple of times a year, if there was climbing walls at weddings, it'd be great, because over the last year of training, you'd be able to show off a little. And it's nice to be able to kind of show off your fucking talents. People who are good singers or good musicians on the guitar or that, typically they pull the guitar out at weddings or parties and they kind of show off a little, which is great. What's the point in being a good singer-songwriter if you never fucking write songs or sing or perform? And you never really get to perform with bouldering. You never really get to show off your climbing skills. Now, having said that, there's going to be instances in your life when you might have to hop a wall or something like that, and the climbing will no doubt have come in very well for that, much more so than fighting. So I was fighting for years, but it's a very rare opportunity you get to show somebody how good a fighter you are. Now, that's a slightly different, more nuanced thing, because you carry that around with you. That ability to kick the fuck out of somebody is present in me 24/7, and I don't have to kick the fuck out of somebody for that to show. Like when somebody says something smart to me, I don't know, in a pub or a nightclub or at a wedding or wherever, like I react with the reactions of somebody who can handle themselves. So you do carry that around with you, and you do get to show it off to a degree. But with climbing, not so much. What this whole thing has me thinking about is, one thing that does come up is dancing. And I can't dance for shit. And it's a loop that I'm certainly not in. I'm not even close to it. I can't even reach over and touch the fucking circle. What I've often said before is, if you see me on a dance floor, stay well clear of me, because I'm fucking bananas drunk, and not in a good way. But it's a new loop that I've been threatening to try out. And again, one of the things that I harped on about a lot when I started these monologues was this idea of getting out of your own way. And a great way of getting out of your own way is to, if you have something in your head that you want to do, tell someone about it. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm essentially outing myself as somebody who wished they could dance. I'd love to be shit hot on the dance floor. It'd be fucking deadly. And that is something that you can kind of show off. It is a skill and a talent that you get to kind of flex every so often. Because, okay, with fighting, you kind of carry that shit around with you. But again, it's not as though you can go, oh, see your man over there, I'm just going to go over and kick the fuck out of him and impress people. Like, that's obviously not how it works. and climbing the same. There might be an instance here, there, every so often where you might have to hop a wall and your climbing will stand to you. But you know, not really. Airsoft, you know, I can't see myself in a real life day-to-day situation going fucking door to door commando style with me fucking sidearm and my assault rifle and me fucking grenades. That's not likely, like. And again, you know, I'm a competent angler, I can fish for me dinner, but unless I get marooned on a fucking desert island and I have to fucking feed myself. Same with archery, like I'm never going to have to feed my family with my bow. More's the pity. But dancing is something that you can kind of flex a little when you're out, whether it's in a nightclub or a wedding or even just at home with the kids. I was at a circus a couple of years ago and the fucking bastard clown singled me out of the whole fucking place and got me down on the fucking stage. And if my kids weren't with me, I would have just sat there, eyeballed them and went, fuck off. I'm not doing it. I'm not getting up on stage and making a dickhead out of myself in front of everyone. Fuck off. But my kids were there, you know, looking up at their dad, and I was like, oh no, fuck. So I fucking dug deep and stood up and went out on stage and made a dickhead out of myself, basically. But you know, my kids fucking saw me doing something that they fucking knew palpably I didn't want to do and did it anyway. And I would have explained to the kids afterwards how I didn't want to do it, but did it anyway. Because, you know, you want to raise your kids right, lead by example. But that's a fucking 16-minute monologue about me wanting to become a dancer. And it's not even about that. Like, I don't want to be on fucking some dancing TV program or anything of the sort. But I would like to, you know, summit that mountain, because I'm pretty fucking competent at a lot of fucking things, and I pride myself on a good challenge. So we'll see how that goes. If you enjoyed that, I've a load more videos. My name's Frano McKeown. This is the Off the Lead YouTube channel. If you like this or another one, share it with a friend of yours. And on that note, I'll chat to you soon.